Yeah, gonna miss some time, but CeeDee is a guy that heals quickly, and he will do everything in his power to get back. But it does look like he'll miss a little bit of time.
You said miss a little bit of time. What's the time frame there?
Yeah, I'm not going to put a timetable on it. Probably unlikely he plays this week, but we'll see.
Diggs and Clark also got nicked up. They did come back, but what's their status, you think?
Yeah, I think those guys, they're okay. We're still running some tests on some guys, but I think both those guys we kind of came out pretty clean.
Clarence Hill, DLLS Cowboys. What changes for the offense without Lamb?
Guys have to step up. I think that's a big part of it. I think we are very fortunate to still have a guy like GP. I think you saw Terp step up and make some plays. Jake Ferguson had an awesome game. But look, injuries are unfortunately a big part of this business, and it's hard to replace a guy like CeeDee. But guys got to step up and do that, and it gives us a week to do it. This is really the second week in a row we've had to adjust kind of on the fly on game day. The week before it was Terp. When Terp went out, you got to move some of your personnels and stuff around, and had to do that again yesterday with CeeDee. But still got plenty of ammunition to go do what we got to do.
I know Lamb has been using running back before. Any second guess on using him as a runner, certainly with Williams going so well?
No, absolutely not. You call passes and runs for people and try to get on the ball, and it's unfortunate, but we're going to still, call quarterback runs with Dak at times, and you hate to see it happen, but no second thoughts.
Brian Tyler with ESPN. Pickens has been in the quote #1 role before. Is that a benefit that he has the experience, knowing the attention that comes with that?
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, this is going to be nothing different for GP in that regard. But again, if CeeDee doesn't play, I think he'll miss having his buddy out there with him, and I think that's where CeeDee's leadership and professionalism will show up. He'll certainly be getting ready to play, and if he doesn't, I think his leadership and his captain. His makeup of why he's a captain will be important for not just GP but the other guys on offense, and CeeDee's tough, man. So we'll see. I wouldn't bet against CeeDee Lamb, but we'll see how he does.
And defensively, you guys have been on this path for 4 or 5 months now, from the offseason to now, and we didn't see a bunch of busts in training camp. What do you put it on?
It's a hard question, Todd. There's been multiple things. I think, I say it all the time, and you guys don't, have to like the answer, but it's the truth. It's different things, Trayvon comes up on a 3rd and 8. He's a little too tight on 3rd and 8, needs to play back. Comes up, goes for a quick jam, and his feet slip. So there's a touchdown. Very next play, they come out when they have the ball and they, have a good play call, a risky play call. They call the flea flicker, and we got to have a little bit better discipline with our eyes when the two receivers kind of release down inside. That's not who they crack. They don't crack the deep post safety, and Mozzie did a great job of really just knocking it back, and the backs lobbing it back there, and then Caleb makes a really good play. We lose a vertical seam on a touchdown right before the end of the first half. So it's different things. And, defense is all about all 11 guys. And, you could go through each play of the film and point out different things. And that's kind of what we talked about with our guys during the team meeting. I went through it and I said, at the end of the day, we did not offensively have enough explosives. Give them credit. They kept a lid on us. I think we had 6. And then we gave up 6 explosives for like 215 yards. And we're not giving up, the league clarifies them as 12-yard runs are explosives and 16-yard passes are explosives. We're not giving up 16, 17, 18-yard explosives. We're giving up 35 and 40 and 45. And, at the end of the day, that's not good enough, man. And so had good meetings. We've talked through things. We're changing up things. Not going to get into what those things are to improve it and make it better, from the way we meet, from the way we're game planning, all that stuff. But the players are not the only ones that have to be better. I have to be better. Flus has to be better. Clayton has to be better. Nick has to be better for us to go where we want to go. But That being said, we're 3 games into the season, and there's a lot of football left to be played.
I remember a couple of years ago where I think it was defensively, that they met as a group, all positions. It wasn't separate. They got all together, and guys seem to think that helped get everybody on the same page. Is that kind of some of the things you're thinking about?
I really do think you have us bugged, because that's the second week in a row. No, that's one of the things that we talked about today, and that's something that we're going to do for sure. Because if there is at times a lapse in communication, then how do you foster that? Well, you foster it by having the guys all in a room together, and that's nothing revolutionary. It doesn't automatically solve the problem. It still has to carry over to the field, but again, the standard is not the standard, and therefore we will make changes, and some will be schemes, some might even be personnel. We'll see. But we expect to play better against a really good opponent coming in here Sunday night.
John Machota with The Athletic. Do you believe that all the defensive players have bought into what Matt Eberflus wants to do in his scheme?
Yeah, I don't have any reason why not. I think when you're not playing well, John, there's going to always be doubts. And that's the other thing I said to the guys today. I really told them 2 things. I said, number one, today is all about us. Let's focus on us. Let's go through these meetings. I talked about the things I messed up in the game. There's certainly things I messed up in the game, and I was open about that. I said, you guys have to do the same thing, take accountability for the things you did. One thing I'll say for Trayvon that was really powerful for me to see is immediately after the long touchdown pass, he was like, hey, that's on me, and that's progress, man. So, again, confidence in this league is interesting because it comes and goes fast when you're playing in such a competitive league. And I don't think it will take long for us to get the confidence back, but I would understand why guys might be like, oh, what about this, what about that? But no, I have complete trust in what we're doing from a scheme standpoint. We'll look at maybe making some changes. We will make some changes. But yeah, in terms of the players, I think that they've bought into what we're trying to do as a football team, and we just got to execute better.
What would you say gives you the most confidence that stuff will get fixed, that it won't be a third, game in a row of the big plays like that?
I would say it starts with the leadership that we have on this football team. Guys like Donovan Wilson, guys like Osa, guys like Malik Hooker. They're prideful guys, man, and they realize that we can't be giving up explosive plays. We have to be better on third down. We're not getting off the field on third down. I think we're last in the league on third down. So we'll take a hard look at that. I think we're giving up something like 55% or something on third down. And it's actually, I think we're middle of the pack in what that third down D&D is. It's like third and 7.2 or something is what the average is. But we're giving up like 9.2 yards on third down. And that along with the explosives are hurting us. And, again, I understand why teams don't want to try to run the ball against us. I wouldn't run the ball against our defense. We're playing the run really well. I'd sling it all over the place, and that's unfortunately what we're allowing to happen. And until we do something about it, it's what we're going to see for the next couple weeks.
Nick Harris, Forward Star Telegram. When you talk about potential personnel changes, is that something you address with the guys at the beginning of the week, or is that something you just kind of keep an eye on as a practice week goes by and make that decision later on?
It's a great question, Nick. It's things that we discussed a little bit today. Nothing's been finalized. You got to see how the injuries play out. You got to see, okay, this guy's going to be okay. It's no different than the Mozzie and Jay thing. Okay, who's earned the right to play? Who maybe is, struggling a little bit. And I'm a big believer, and nobody likes to hear this as a player, but sometimes it's very powerful to watch. I think sometimes when you sit on the sidelines and you watch it, there's things you can learn and garner. But no, I mean, we haven't finalized any of those decisions. But again, nothing's off the table. And those will be decisions that we probably get more into tonight and tomorrow. And then once we make those decisions, we talk to the guys about it, why. They're going to know based on who's running with the ones and who's up on special teams and who's not. But, again, you never know how things change fast in this league. I mean, all of a sudden you're doing a workout pregame to see, who's going to be your extra player and stuff. And so everybody's got to stay ready. That's the professional part of the NFL football. But yeah, we communicate with everybody.
And then with Bland, is there any hope or optimism to get him on the practice?
Yeah, I think he's doing good. I think he's trending to play.
Patrick.
Hey, Coach Patrick Walker, DallasCowboys.com. Two-part question, same position though. With CeeDee Lamb going out, obviously you called more opportunities for Ryan Flanoy. First part of the question, can you talk about how he handled those opportunities and how the potential absence of CeeDee can help him as far as being more productive in the offense?
Yeah, young player that really liked the talent, liked the size, liked the strength. Thought he played good. Thought he made some really good plays for us. They came after us late. We were backed up, fourth down, and I don't know, 5 or 6, and they had a cover 0. And Dak made a great check, made the perfect check, and hit Ryan on an out route, kind of a contested catch, which was great. Those were things that I would have told you probably this time last year. Man, I don't know if Dak throws that ball to him. He might have gone someplace else. But I think it shows you guys that he trusts all of our guys, and I think that's important. And I think that's part of the maturation of Dak. He knows that ball's going to get spread around, and they're going to lean to different people, and they did a nice job of that yesterday, leaning to George. People are going to do that. That's all part of the game. But I do believe we have other guys that will make people pay if they do that.
To that point, I'm going to segue to one of your weapons that you have on reserve right now, Jonathan Mingo. He's approaching the eligibility for his practice window. How's he progressing, and where is he in his rehab?
He's doing good. Again, I think he's trending to get back sooner rather than later. And the big part with guys like that is you want to make sure mentally they're into it. Because 4 weeks or whatever it becomes, 6 weeks, you work on your body so hard. You work so hard on getting your body right, and whatever your part of your body's ailing, you work and work and work, and you do that, which is the priority. But you got to stay in the game mentally. And so I think that's what the focus will be with a guy like Jonathan Mingo this week is, hey, man, you're close. So let's make sure we're on the finer points of the game plan and all that stuff. And because I think that gives them confidence coming off once they're ready to go play.
Skyler Dixon, BAP, you mentioned confidence earlier. Do you think Trayvon has a confidence problem, and how would you assess his first 3 weeks?
No, I don't think Trayvon has a confidence problem. I think Trayvon's a very confident guy. I think it's a humbling position, Skyler, to play cornerback in this league. What I'm excited about is the accountability that he took for, hey, look, it happens. You miss a quick jam and guy gets behind you, and when that happens, it's usually not a good thing for the defense. But he took accountability for it. He got banged up a little bit. Boom, went out for a few minutes. Boom, tested, came right back in, which is great. No, I don't think so. I think, if anything, I don't worry about Trayvon's confidence. I think our communication, from Trayvon across the board needs to be better. But I don't think Trayvon has a confidence issue.
Garrett.
Garrett Podell, CBS Sports. Brian, quarterback pressure can cover up for a lot of things on defense. With Micah Parsons coming to town this week, how much do you...
Who's coming to town?
Micah Parsons. How much do you
Does he play for Green Bay?
What?
He plays for Green Bay?
He does, yeah.
Okay.
How much do you reflect on kind of that decision, which both you and Jerry Jones said was unanimous given quarterback pressure and the explosive issues that you mentioned? Yeah,
I think, like I said, the defense it's all tied together. And are we getting enough pressure on the quarterback? No. When you look at it, we can be better. Come out of that game with no sacks is not good enough. Again, there's things that we can do, and there's, from a scheme standpoint, but certainly a coverage's best friend is the pass rush. And again, I think, there's been highs of where we rushed it pretty well, and it's been good. And then there's been times where the pass rush hasn't been there. And so we're looking at that. One of the things we're doing is a little early self-scout, and saying, okay, what do we do well? And the things that we do well, you'll see us probably do more of, and the things that we don't do well, you'll see us do less of. But this is a team game, and certainly on defense, it takes all 11 to affect the quarterback, coverage and pass rush.
And do you feel like you've learned a lot about your defensive line and pass rush group in these first 3 weeks without Micah Parsons on the roster?
Yeah, I think you do. I think you saw a guy like Donovan Ezeraku. He's had 2 great games, not just one. Marshawn Nealon playing a very high level. Kenny Clark, can't tell you, how lucky we are to have him. Again, it's not been good enough as a team, and that's what we are. We're a football team, and it's the fleeting life of an NFL coach and player. You're high last week when you find a way to beat the Giants, and then you lose to a good Bears team. I've been saying it all week. They're a good Bears team. They got good weapons, and that's the life we live.
Joe.
Joe Hoyt, Dallas Morning News. George Pickens was seen slamming his helmet after the tipped interception. Is that something you talked with him about, or what are thoughts you have on that?
I have not. I will. Hey, look, our guys care. I mean, it's a big point in the game. We're 31-14. We're driving. I would probably be disappointed if George didn't care that much. I think he does care. I know he does care. But I'll talk to him about it. Just hey, when that does happen, hey, how do we get you back quick? And but I know where it comes from. It comes from caring, and he knows he's going to make that play 99 times out of 100. And it'd be more concerned if he walked over and was just chuckling and laughing like, hey, just it is what it is. That's not the way this team's wired, man.
In terms of potentially replacing CeeDee Lamb if he can't play, is it as simple as, hey, George, we need you to now take CeeDee Lamb's kind of reps, or is it just a different adjustment there?
No, I think, George has been a true number one. I think, that's what we've been so blessed to have is two number ones and still do. How long, the CeeDee thing lasts, we'll see. See how he feels tomorrow and things like that. But it won't be too much for George.
Tommy.
Tommy Arsh, DallasCowboys.com. It seems like this first 3 weeks this year is kind of similar to last year in terms of you get a win, a close game, and then defense doesn't play the way you want it to. Last year you win 2 games after the first 3. What did you learn from that stretch maybe that'll help you try and replicate that this year?
Tom, I'll be honest with you, man. I don't really go back. This is a different team. Each game is its own game. We'll draw more on the first 3 games. We'll draw on Philadelphia and we'll draw on the Giants. And, I really do believe, I showed the guys the clips, of us starting fast, we defer. And why do we defer? Well, I trust the defense. I do. I trust the defense. And what do? Well, James Houston first goes down and makes a tackle on the 15-yard line. Defense goes 3 and out. They punt the ball. Okay, we get the ball about midfield. We pound the first run for 7 yards, then Javonte breaks for a explosive run for 25, 30 yards, and he's a little loose with the ball, and the guy comes and makes a hell of a play and pulls it out. But showed him that, showed him some of the things that we did good and some of the things we didn't, and then the next thing I show us tying the game up 14-14 with a 2-point conversion. And why did we go for 2? Because we trusted our guys to go and get the 2 points. And that's this league. And our guys need to understand that's what we sign up for every week. And we didn't close out the first half very well. That's what we didn't do. And but we're right there. And then, same thing. We're 31-14 and we're driving and we have an interception, but that's going to put us at the 20-yard line. And then you're right back to where you were with a whole quarter to play of football, and it's a 10-point game if you can finish that drive. So the difference in winning and losing this league is so finite that, hey, this isn't going to be the only adversity we face all year, man. It's what we sign up for. And it takes tough SOBs to play and coach this business.
Yeah.
Last night after the game, you had talked about maybe we need to simplify some things defensively. Is that still on the table after meeting today?
Of course. Anytime as a coach, your job is to look at the film because there's emotions that come into the game, Calvin. Like you get emotional and, man, we had our chances, and you're pissed off, and, you see the hurt in the guy's eyes or the jubilation when you win. And so you miss things. So it's not really until the next morning or that night, like we did last night. We watched the film last night on the plane, and you kind of really you feel out. You realize, say, okay, where are we at? And so I do think that as a coach, you look for solutions. And if we're not doing certain things well, then by simply deleting some things, that makes you simplify. Doesn't mean that we're going to go in with one front and one coverage. Okay, we're not going to do that. We're going to still be multiple. But absolutely, we'd be crazy if we didn't look to simplify and focus on execution. Execution is what wins in this league. And there's times where we've executed very well on defense, just like the 2 overtime drives against the Giants. I mean, you forget 7 to 8 days ago, they stepped up and made those plays. How do we know they wouldn't have made it if we could have tightened the game a little bit on offense, by scoring a touchdown? So, but yeah, everything's on the table.
How much are you missing takeaways from your group? 'Cause this was a defense that led the league in takeaways for a couple of years, and now we're not seeing them as much as it's very early. But
No, you're right. No, again, I talked to the guys about that today. I mean, we're 32nd in the league in giveaway takeaway ratio, -5. It sucks. I don't know if I can say sucks, but I just did. It really sucks. But they come in bunches. I believe that. We got guys punching at the ball. What helps with that is when you do disrupt or affect the passer, errant throws happen. So the more, that's why I'm saying it all ties together. Dak's first interception, GP obviously is going to catch that. The 4th down play, he just had a little bit of pressure in his face, couldn't really finish the throw. Javante talked about that, and then, Joe went in and did some great things, and just needs to know that we still had time and opportunities, and so he can't make that throw to Turk. Probably just check that one down, and but yeah, to be -5, I can promise you this: we will not end the season at that.
God. What kind of difference can Clowney make?
I'm not going to put too much on Jadeveon. He's obviously a player that I have a tremendous amount of respect for, and I think he's going to impact people a lot of different ways. I think the talent is real, Todd. I think, his knowledge of the game is what's grown probably the most in my time since we've been together. But I think, he's going to affect the line of scrimmage, both run and pass. And but I also think, he's invaluable for some of our young guys, like Donovan Ezaraku and, Mozzie. And, he was the one guy, that I heard yesterday in the locker room, after the game say, hey, don't blink, boys. We're 3 games into this thing. And that's a man that's been around. He's been around a long time, and he gets it.
At the end of the half, can you walk us through what you were thinking with the timeouts? You used the one with 1:24, and then you waited again, not till 30 seconds.
Yeah. Well, basically, I wanted to kind of put the pressure on them to decide what they wanted to do. It looked like to me that, if they were going to run the football, I think the first run went for 7 or 8, so I didn't do anything. And then we had one where we kind of stopped them for a 2 or 3 yard gain, so I called timeout. And, you want to put the onus on them a little bit, and maybe, see if Caleb would make a mistake and see if we could get a chance to get some more time, and then they hit the big play, the deep cross coming from left to right, and then, of course, you call the timeout because you want the ball back. And so it's just gamesmanship about trying to, put the onus on them to make the decision, and they made the plays they had to make.